Are you ready to take your message, your business, and your life to the next level?
Want to learn from someone with more than a decade of experience, training tens of thousands of people from all around the world?
Hi, Cliff. This is Pauline from Auckland, New Zealand.
John from Calgary, Alberta.
Amy Porterfield.
Michael Hyatt.
Dan here from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Ray Edwards.
Mark Mason.
Mike Stelzner.
Pat from Smart Passive Income.
It's Darren from Melbourne, Australia.
Now is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world.
Welcome to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Here's your host, Cliff Ravenscraft.
That's right, my friends. And I have a question for you. Do you really, truly believe that now, right now, is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world? Or are you totally okay with the idea of that being 5, 10, 20, 30 years down the road from now? For me, I got to tell you that I'd always been one of those guys where I'm okay with 10 to 20 years down the road. And then 5 years would go by and I was still okay with 10 to 20 years down the road from now. And now I'm trying to think, how old am I? I'm 46. Okay, that sounds about right. So I'm 46 years old right now. So let's just say if I decided to wait and embrace my true identity and live fully alive and live the life of my dreams and do the work that I truly feel most called to do in this world. Let's just say I wait for 20 years for that to happen. I'll be 66 years old. And then I have to ask myself, how many times do I really get a chance to walk the face of this earth? And from all evidence that I've been able to find, the only answer I've truly been able to fully believe in is that the answer is one. I get one chance to walk this earth. One. And why would I wait for 10 to 20 years to live the life of my dreams and do the work I was created to do? Oh my gosh. So today I'm going to share with you the audio recording of a Facebook Live video that I recorded on Saturday, June 29th, 2019. And it starts off a little bit slow, but I want to encourage you to stick with it because things really pick up in this piece of content. And the important thing that I want you to know is that as I was thinking about, well, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to transition into the audio recording. Anything that I would say now, the only thing I will say is stick with this one for the first few moments, and I promise you, the right people. Some of you are going to check out. That's cool. That's awesome. Some of you are going to stick around to the end of this one, and those of you who stick around to the end, I believe you'll be happy you did. And so with nothing more than that, thank you so much for tuning in to this 605th episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. What is up, everybody? Cliff Ravenscraft here, coming to you live from the Next Level studio. And I just walked into the office. It's Saturday afternoon, June 29th, 2019. It is 12:10, and I just had this thought that occurred to me for the Free the Dream 2019 closing keynote. I'm going to be doing my own closing keynote for the event this year. And I've been trying to decide what is an important message to leave people with on their way out into the world after being freed, if you will, to live the dream life that they have inside of them. As I'm thinking through this, I'm thinking, there's so many things that I could say. There's so many important key elements to take from, okay, now you understand the importance of beliefs and that all beliefs have consequences. You now understand completely, beyond any shadow of a doubt, you know what it is that causes you to take action or causes you to be paralyzed from taking the actions that you need to know. Basically, you know why we do the things that we do and how to get yourself to do anything that you want to do. Those are all things that I know for a fact people will learn at Free the Dream Conference. They learned it last year. People who had been trying and struggling to make progress towards living the life of their dreams for years and years. they've been able to accomplish more in the last 9 months than they had in the previous 9 years combined. So I know that people are going to not only understand the power of beliefs, how to discover limiting beliefs that are holding them back, where did they come from? They're going to learn how to completely eradicate limiting beliefs from their life and how to replace and restore those beliefs with new empowering beliefs. They're going to learn how to motivate yourself to get that consistent, ongoing, lifetime behavioral changes that you need to be able to become the person you were created to be, to get the leverage. And not only that, but we've gone through and said, okay, what are your dreams? And people who were absolutely convinced in their own mind prior to coming to Free the Dream, that they didn't have any dreams, that maybe those are for other people, but not for them. Everybody at Free the Dream discovered not just one dream, but they discovered their ability. Many of them discovered how to dream again. They rediscovered their ability to dream that they had when they were kids, that somehow they lost that ability along the way. There were many people they're already dreamers, but they unlocked the ability to dream even bigger dreams. And not only am I completely convinced that at Free the Dream, they're going to be able to do that again this year, but there's something exciting that's going to happen, and that is that they're going to pick one of those dreams. They're going to have a solid plan, action steps that not that they're going to start when they get back home. They will have already taken actions and started the momentum towards progressively moving toward their dream life. That's all going to happen at Free the Dream 2019. So the question is what do I want to tell people as they're walking out the door? What do I want to share with people? And I don't know that I've settled on this yet, but as I was upstairs, I just fixed myself some lunch and I was doing the dishes, and I've been thinking a lot about the idea of our true identity. I've been thinking about this concept of discovering what your superpower is. Your superpower. What is it that you do that is uniquely you? And a lot of people are challenged. They're like, I don't know that there is anything that's uniquely me. I mean, the stuff that I'm good at, there's people out there that are better at it than I am. And there's so much of that self-talk that's going around. And we'll eliminate a ton of that at Free the Dream. But there is something about our unique gifting that sets us apart from anyone else on this planet, that nobody else on this planet can do things the way that you alone can do. There are people that you will reach, that you're the only person that's uniquely gifted with the right experience, with the right voice, with the right tonality, with the right words, with the right everything. Everything is going to perfectly align so that you uniquely, as a set-apart individual, only you are going to be able to reach some of the people that need to be reached in this world in a powerful, profound, and positive way. But you're only going to be able to do that if you pursue that voice inside of you that is calling you to live a life beyond your comfort zone, beyond your selfish desire to stay safe and certain all the time, to have everything be perfect and to make sure that nobody criticizes you. You need to be willing to fully embrace who you were set apart to be in this world. And that, I think, is the closing message that I'm probably going to work on for Free the Dream 2019. This right here, by the way, this thought, this process right here, you're actually hearing this in its infancy stage. I'm literally, I came down here. In fact, I'm working on a Saturday. I don't typically work on the weekends, but this Saturday I am. Yesterday I did a Free the Dream family Zoom call and had two very powerful portions of that call. We did a 1-hour session with my friend Paul Klein for those who have a dream related to business pursuits. He did an incredible 1-hour presentation on pricing is positioning and helping people really see pricing and how you price your products and services from a whole different perspective. It was powerful. And then after that, I did a hot seat presentation with my friend Colin Yearwood, and he had two extremely major breakthroughs that Last year, he set a goal for 2019. He's going to do 5 prospecting/discovery calls per week, every week in the year 2019. And prior to yesterday, he was lucky if he did 5 the entire year. Now, starting on Monday, I'm absolutely convinced, and he declared and decided after breaking from just two limiting beliefs that was keeping him from actually performing those actions, he is now absolutely 100% committed to doing a minimum of 5 prospecting/discovery calls every single week from here throughout the end of this year and beyond. And I'm convinced he will actually succeed. And so I have those recordings, those Zoom call recordings, and I'm going to be one of the things that I'm scheduled to do here today is I'm scheduled to take those recordings, do a little post-production, clean it up a little bit, and share those as video replays for people in the Free the Dream community. But I'm thinking about how I can use them in my vlog. I'm thinking about taking the audio of Colin's hot seat and turning that into a podcast episode so people can, because everybody's dealing with the same stuff that Colin is dealing with. We're all unique, but we all struggle with the same things that are keeping us from living the lives that we were created to live. We all have the same basic fears that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not qualified. People are going to find out just how much of a fraud I am. I'm an imposter. We all have those same fears. The reality is that it's a lie. You are qualified, you are worthy, and to think otherwise, well, you'd learn just how ridiculous that thought is, and that you would never be able to entertain those thoughts again if you heard and share, at least if you shared the same core beliefs that I knew that Colin had. And I used those core beliefs that I knew about him to get to the place where he could never allow himself to entertain those thoughts for more than just a few moments. At the most, he would see how ridiculous those are, and he'll never deal with that again. And other people who will hear those messages, that either see those video replays, or the people who will listen to that podcast, I'm so excited about the work that I'm going to do today that I decided that I'm going to work on a Saturday to do it. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing right now. But I was washing dishes, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I don't ever hear. I don't think I've ever audibly heard the voice of God, all right? But I just felt this prompting, embrace your identity. In fact, there are 3 words: discover your true identity, embrace your true identity, and then the most important part, live your true identity. These are 3 keys for freeing the dream inside of you. You see, you shouldn't be pursuing the dreams that others have for you. And how many of you out there have struggled with that, either in your past or maybe you're dealing with it right now? The idea that other people have expectations of what you ought to do in life, what's responsible, what is the correct way for you to go about pursuing your journey. I think about the fact of how many kids, go to college and get a specific degree because that's what their parents worked so hard and had a vision. There are so many parents in let's just say the boomer generation, and their kids going to college is the only path that they see for them. And not only that, but they steer their kids in a specific way, in a specific direction. And so many kids grow up into adulthood living out the expectations of their parents, when quite frankly, it's not the parents who really created them. They were created by a creator. And it reminds me of a couple verses from scripture. It came to me while I was washing the dishes. One of them is one of my favorite scriptures, Jeremiah 29:11. And it says this, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Who is it that created us? The plans that I have, they're from God, and God is our creator, and he's the one who has plans for us. And sometimes those plans are different than the plans than our parents have for us, our aunts and uncles, our grandparents, our friends, other family members. Sometimes we fail to ask ourselves, what's burning deep down inside of me? What makes me come alive? Another scripture that came to my mind, Jeremiah, once again, 1:5, it says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Now, there's a little bit more to that verse. It says, I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. And that was for Jeremiah, right? But I believe this is true for all of us, that before we were formed in the womb, God knew us. He was familiar with us. He knew all of our life before he formed us in the womb. He knew exactly who we were, and he had an idea for us. And before we were born, he set us apart to be different, to be unique, to be, to perform a function in this world. And I believe that without any shadow of a doubt. Before I was formed in the womb, God knew who I was. He knew me intimately. He had already seen all the times when he's there by my side, carrying me through the trials and tribulations, through all the mistakes that I'll make, even though he warned me ahead of time. He knew me through all of that. He knew me through all of my successes and the times when I would allow those successes to go to my head. And he knew me through all the times when I would be arrogant and self-absorbed. He knew me through all of the sins and all of the more humble moments of truly identifying, wait a second, I need to lean into the grace and love and the unconditional. He knew me. He knew all of that before I was born. And not only that, but before he formed me in my mother's womb, he set me apart. He set me apart. And he didn't make a mistake when he made me. I am who I am, and sometimes I just need to follow my heart. I'm going to share with you, it's not a scripture, but I believe it is a God-inspired message into the world. And I'm going to go to my affirmation file here in my Evernote app on my phone. All right, here's another quote that I want to share with you. Howard Thurman said this: "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do that. Because what the world needs most are people who have come alive." That's from Howard Thurman. I had never really heard of Howard Thurman before, but when I heard that quote, I did a little Wikipedia search and found a little bit about who he is, and I'm going to probably do a little bit more research. If I decide to use this quote in the Free the Dream message, I'll probably do quite a significant amount of research on Howard Thurman and maybe tell a little anecdote, maybe even about why he came up with that quote. But here's the thing, as a business mentor now and a life coach, there are so many people that says, listen, if you want to have a successful business, what you need to do is ask, what does the world need? What does the world need? And go and find a need and fill that. That's what you want. I've heard that advice, and I think there's some wisdom in that advice. I'm not going to say that there's no wisdom in that advice, and I think that there's a point at which that comes into play. But I think it's only after you have discovered what your dream is and what your true identity is. And by the way, your dreams and your true identity are not necessarily the same. All right? Your identity is your identity. Your dreams can change over time. Your dreams expand. So the thing is there's a difference between your dreams and your identity. And I think for you to be able to free the dream or free the dreams inside of you, you have to discover, embrace, and fully live your true identity. Yeah, I'm loving this. This is all just riffing off the top of my head. Prior to washing the dishes and then coming down here, none of this has been formulated in my mind. This is all off of the top of my head. And I just felt like riffing on it. And the funny thing is I'm doing it on Facebook Live, and I don't even know how quality the recording of this is. And I have better equipment and better cameras that would be higher quality if I was to have this for prosperity's sake and all this stuff. I am recording the audio and probably going to share this as an audio journal episode. MindsetAnswerMan.com/audio journal. If you guys have never heard of it, you might want to check it out. But yeah, okay. So the key to finding your dream is to the keys to freeing the dream or dreams inside of you is to discover, embrace, and live your true identity. Just be yourself. It sounds so simple, but you know what? You don't need a complex idea to change your life. You don't need some kind of fancy, overwhelmingly complex, hard to implement plan to change your life. All you need is something you can do consistently, and it will change your life forever. And it's simple as this: just be yourself. But so many people struggle with that because they haven't yet discovered their true identity. And some who are on the verge of discovering their true identity, they're having a very difficult time embracing it. Here's the perfect example of this. Colin Yearwood says this. He said, or this is what came out in his hot seat yesterday in a part of an ongoing conversation I've had with him. Colin Yearwood had been successfully coaching people in his coaching business. He's been self-employed for several years now, but coaching has only been a portion of his income. And in his own solo practice of doing it, where he's doing coaching practice for his own clients that he's attained himself, he's experienced a little bit of success here and there, but he consistently fails to, or he had previously, prior to yesterday, had consistently failed to take the actions that would help him to live into his true identity in this world. By the way, he's convinced that his true identity is, and his true calling is to be this coach that comes alongside people and helps them accomplish things that they would have never taken action on, to do things that they would have never done had they not coached with him, specifically in the area of their business pursuits. You know, how to actually schedule routines into their crazy lives where they didn't have routines before, how to get themselves to take actions that they weren't taking before, how to break free from things. And here's the thing, he's had great success into this identity that this is what he was set apart to do uniquely for people that people like me will never reach, people like Tony Robbins will never reach. But man, Colin Yearwood was uniquely set apart with experiences and a voice and a way of thinking and a certain way of communicating that resonates with certain people that no one else will be able to reach. And he was set apart to reach a specific type of people in this world, and specific people are waiting for him to prospect and discovery call them so that they can be freed to do the things that they were created to do in this world. But he was so struggling. Why? Because he had discovered his identity, but he struggled to embrace it. In fact, through Colin's story, and it comes out into the hot seat that we recorded yesterday, and in conversations I've had with him prior to that. Anyway, he said, Cliff, I have 3 testimonials in video form. One of them is 1 minute long. One of them's all the way as much as 6 minutes long. So they're between 1 to 6 minutes in length. And man, I'll tell you what, I've never, prior to just our most recent call 2 weeks ago, I'd never listened to them all the way through because I'd hear the lavish praise, and quite frankly, it made me cringe. And I'm sitting there saying, dude, this is who you were created to be. And what if I told you that those words, sure, those were recorded by your clients, but what you're hearing, those people were prompted to share those video testimonials. And it's a way that God's trying to communicate to you. This is who I knew you before you were born. And before you were born, I set you apart, and I created you for this work, and I want to communicate to you, and how I'm communicating to you is through 1 to 6 minute, 3 testimonials from prior clients to say, this is who I created you to be in the world. This is, and those words that you're cringing at are the words that God's trying to speak to you. He's trying to communicate to you. Go back and listen to the whole things and listen to them over and over again. And he has. And now you know what he's doing? He's discovered his true identity, and he's been working. And I think we had 2 very significant breakthroughs in that hot seat yesterday, where now he is working on embracing that. He's no longer cringing at that identity that's beyond him, that's bigger than anything he's ever dreamed before. He's embracing it. And now not only is he embracing, I think yesterday he had the breakthrough of embracing. And now we're going to see him fully living life alive, coming alive. You see, don't ask the world what the world needs. The world's got all kinds of needs. And you know what? Every need has a solution. There are resources to fill every need out there. And God has created all the people to create all the resources out there. All needs are available to be met. But the thing is you're uniquely gifted to meet specific needs. And don't ask what the world needs. Ask inside of you, what's your true identity? What really makes you come alive? What is it that when you do that, not only do you come fully alive, but the people you work with or the people who pay for your products and services, they come alive. It not only fulfills you, it fulfills others. It not only serves you, but it serves your family. It serves your community. What is it inside of you that makes you come alive? Ask yourself that. Discover your true identity. Embrace that. Embrace what makes you come fully alive, and then go out and live that life. Live your dream. Live your identity. And don't do it like everyone else does it. There are other people who have similar callings to yours, who are doing similar work to you, who have maybe even the same message you have, but don't do the same message their way. Do it your way. Do it uniquely you. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you just how I have discovered my true identity. I know what my identity is. I have fully embraced my identity, and I am living my identity. But I'm still discovering places where sometimes I'm trying to do it the way other people say it should be done, or the way they say that it's uniquely worked for them, and this is the way they believe other people should do it. And I'm going to lay it on the line for you after I take another drink. So I read this book. I heard all of my mentor friends. Michael Hyatt was the first one. Then I heard Ray Edwards. Then I heard so many other of my friends, and we all have a mutual respect for this American pastor named Andy Stanley. I think he's an incredibly gifted man. He is an anointed communicator that has a powerful and profound impact in people's lives. And from everything I've ever seen from him, I admire Andy Stanley a great deal. He's just an incredible guy. I don't read all of his books. I don't listen to all of his sermons. I'm not even subscribed to his podcasts. But I do occasionally check out a book of his. I do occasionally check out a sermon series of his. I do occasionally subscribe to a podcast of his and listen to a couple episodes until finally I'm like, okay, I've had enough of Andy for a while. And the thing is, there are people who love Andy and are as faithful to never missing a single piece of content of his content. And there's a whole lot more of those people than there are of people in my community who follow me in such a way. But that's the whole thing. There are people where, quite frankly, Andy Stanley was set apart to reach a unique people, and his voice is going to resonate. And quite frankly, I will never be the person who reaches some of the people that only Andy Stanley will ever reach. All right. And I'm okay with that. And that's why I'm okay with some of you who pop into a Facebook Live like this, or who subscribe to one of my podcasts, or sign up for one of my email newsletters, and then you unsubscribe. And I'm totally cool with that. And if I was only put on this earth for you specifically to communicate just one message, and for a short period or a short season of your life, I show up and then you never hear from me again, but man, I had a profound impact in your life, I'm totally cool with that as well. But here's the thing. Andy Stanley wrote this book called Communicating for Change. And it's a great book. I highly encourage you to read it. And I did. And here's what happened. As I read this book, I actually listened to it in audio form. And as I read this book, I was impacted profoundly. And it's like, listen, you should never create anything without knowing ahead of time exactly where you're taking them. You should always have these elements, and it's not like he said you should, but if you want to, you could do it another way. But if you want to really be impactful, you should do this. And here's what I will tell you. Let me ask you this. Have you felt any ounce of encouragement, inspiration, or has anything that I shared with you resonated on a very deep heart level? I mean, even any words that I've shared. any of the energy or passion or just the zeal for what I'm saying? Is any of this connecting with you in a unique way? Well, I will tell you what. After reading Communicating for a Change, there was a season where I developed a belief that I should never, ever, 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 ever again create a piece of content like I'm creating right now. Without thinking ahead of time, what is the destination that I'm taking you to? What are the waypoints? What are the places where we're going to stop along the journey? What are the 3 words or the phrase that you'll be able to repeat over and over again so that you'll never forget this message? I was convinced that if I didn't know all of those answers prior to hitting the record button or prior to going live, prior to stepping on stage, I should never get in front of an audience without knowing all that stuff if I want to communicate for a change. And you know what? The thing is that I did that for a while. And I created content, and the content was good. Matter of fact, some of the content that I created after reading that book was some of the best content I'd created in all the years that I've ever created. But some of that content, well, first of all, I truly showed up in that content. So the thing is I can do that content and I can fully be me and stuff like that. But you know what? There's still something unique about the kind of content that I'm creating right now. There's something about the kind of content that at this very moment in time that I am creating. And that is not well thought out at all. It's like, hey, I'm doing dishes. I have an idea for my closing keynote. The 3 keys to freeing the dream or dreams inside of you. You've got, and the simple thing is just be yourself. If you just need one key, just be yourself. But let me tell you the importance of discovering your true identity and embracing your true identity and living fully into your true identity. And I want to tell you right now, I can't live my true identity fully if I allow myself to feel like for me to communicate. I know that Andy Stanley has a similar message in this world as I do too. Andy Stanley wants to help you break free from anything that's standing in your way from living the life for which God created you to live. I'm sure that Andy Stanley would say, yep, that pretty much sums up. I mean, he's probably got a different way and a different main focus of his core message or purpose in this world. But I think he would probably agree that we share a similar message. And that's my message. My message is that as well. But here's the thing. I thrive when I don't have everything perfectly outlined. By the way, I do extremely well when I do have things perfectly outlined. And some of that content's my best. But you know what? Some of my best content has no outline. Some of my best content is, and I'm not saying that today is my best content, but I am saying that sometimes I perform at my best when I have nothing prepared ahead of time except for just a thought. Discover, embrace, and live your true identity. Just be yourself, and don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come truly alive inside. The world needs more people who are living fully alive. What was it? I can't remember who it was. It was one of those saints that says, the glory of God is a man fully alive. I love this. This, my friends, is where I think I'm heading with the Free the Dream closing keynote. I don't know. I may scrap this entirely and do something completely different. But this is the seed of what might become the closing keynote of Free the Dream. Discover and embrace your true identity. Just be yourself. And by the way, I had to discover, it's like, listen, I can't limit myself to the prescribed formula for communicating for change. I believe that, by the way, I do think you ought to consider reading the book by Andy Stanley and his co-author. I can't remember that guy's name. But it's called Communicating for Change. It's a powerful book, and it's had a profound impact on me. And for a time, it had a detrimental effect in that I would only create content based on that formula and felt like anything that was not in line with that formula was inferior. And in a way, I was cutting off a lot of natural gifting and some of my true identity of free flowing with content. And some of my best content in this world, quite frankly, has come without an outline, without even a forethought. Sometimes not even there have been times when I've gone out for a walk or sat in front of my microphone and I just hit the record button. Didn't even have a whiteboard over to me that you've probably seen me look over at a couple times. Sometimes I just hit record and I start talking, and then I feel inspired and I communicate. And when I'm done, I hit publish, whether it be on a Facebook Live or a YouTube vlog or a podcast episode or whatever the case may, or an email that I just wrote, and I publish it, I put it out into the world, and then all of a sudden people are like, Cliff, I broke down in tears as I was listening, or as I'm reading this, I'm breaking down in tears. It's like, I have no doubt that God meant for you to create that just for me, and I'm now filled with so much hope, and as a result of what you just shared, this has happened. And by the way, I have 3 handwritten letters of people who have told me that they've chosen not to commit suicide as a result of content that I've created. And all 3 pieces of content that prompted those letters, none of them were premeditated ahead of time, the kind of content that I created. So you need to discover your true identity. You need to embrace it. You need to fully live it alive, and you need to live it your unique way. Don't allow what works for other people to limit what might work for you. Feel free to test and play around and implement. And by the way, I will still implement many things. I probably will not. I'm cautious of the words that I share here. I probably will never free flow without any preparation an opening keynote address or a closing keynote address of Free the Dream Conference. And certainly not for Free the Dream 2019. Although I wonder one day if I will ever just choose to go up and say, you know what, Free the Dream 2025. I'm going to do my opening keynote. I'm going to do my prepared Free the Dream core messages. I'm going to do what I have prepared to do. And when it comes to the closing keynote address, and I'm just hypothetically saying here, Free the Dream 2025, I may just choose to say, you know what's my closing keynote going to be this year? I don't know. But I'll know that when I step on the stage to do the closing keynote that day. For you to be able to live your dream, you're going to have to discover your true identity. What are your superpowers? What makes you uniquely you? Let me tell you something. Before God formed you in the womb, He knew you. He knew the powerful things that you would do in this world. And I'm convinced that whatever powerful things you've done in this world yet, you haven't even scratched the surface of what He knew you was going to do in the future, that He knows that you're going to do in the future. He already knew it before He formed you in the womb. He already knew you. And not only that, but before you were born, He set you apart to be uniquely you. He set me apart to uniquely communicate for change. And He set me apart to do it in a way that Andy Stanley could never do it. For at least some people. There are some people who will never listen to an Andy Stanley message in their entire lifetime. But I was uniquely set apart to reach some of those people. Jeremiah 29:11 says this, "For I knew the plans I have for you. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Do you know what your true identity is? Have you fully embraced your true identity? And today, are you living fully alive? Are you living a majority of the time that you spend working? Are you spending a majority of the time interacting with your family? Are you spending a majority of the time interacting with your community and your friends and your family and then the world? Or are you showing up in the world fully alive a majority of the time? I'm not saying all the time. I have my down days too. I do. But a majority of the time, do you wake up excited to get started in the day, knowing that you get to be uniquely you, knowing that you are going to prosper today because the things that fulfill you are going to fulfill others. The things that add value to you are adding value to others. Are you living fully alive? Do you know your identity? Have you embraced it? And are you living it fully on a majority of the time? If the answer to that question is no, come to Free the Dream 2019. Don't even wait until then. Sign up today, freethedreamconference.com. freethedreamconference.com. Get your ticket today, and immediately I'll give you access. Like, as soon as you buy your ticket, you'll immediately get another email. Not only will it say, hey, you've successfully registered, you'll immediately get an email that says you now have full access to every video recording of every session from Free the Dream 2018, and you can start today on learning all of the core message of Free the Dream, and you will begin to learn all the lessons you are going to need to fully discover, embrace, and live out to fully live your true identity, to discover your superpower. Oh my gosh. Guys, I love you so much. I really do. And I'm glad that I have discovered that one of my superpowers is to be able to create content without a fancy outline or roadmap, without knowing exactly where the destination is. That I can be a tour guide that shows you, he's like, where do you want to go? I don't know, just show me around. Okay, let's go. I can be that guy. And I feel like that's what I've done today. Man, and then there's that thought, and still it's just a thought that I can easily get rid of today. I mean, these thoughts that come up, these old beliefs that you used to have, it's like, well, wait a second, if I really want to communicate for a change, I mean, that's really not formed into a message. If I just go live on Facebook, there's a great chance this is going to be a total bomb. There's a great chance that this isn't formed into anything. I mean, why would I distract people with a message that's half-baked and all that? And then it's like, this is not, if I think about that old commitment that I thought that I should make for the rest of my life, that I should never create a content without knowing the exact destination, the stops along the way, and just being able to know the journey ahead of time, I probably shouldn't go live. And that thought occurred to me. And then I'm like, no, my true identity, my superpower, one of my superpowers is the ability to go live or hit record without the destination already baked in. Part of my superpowers, part of my gifting, part of what makes me uniquely me is the ability to just trust that once I go live, once I hit record, that something powerful is going to be communicated. And I'm glad I followed that prompting. I'm glad that may not be you. By the way, that may just going live and going with the flow may not be what works for you. That's why you have to discover your superpowers. You have to discover your true identity. You have to embrace that and say, listen, I'm not going to go and try to do what Cliff does. I'm not going to go try to do everything exactly the way Andy Stanley does. I'm not going to go try to do it the Tony Robbins the way, the Michael Hyatt the way, all the other people's ways. Find who you are and just be yourself. That's my message today. And one of the ways that I am absolutely convinced, if you are still listening to this, and if this has resonated with you I'm only talking to the, by the way, the only people still listening are the people who may be stopping by like here in the last 3 seconds of this Facebook Live, right? If anything that I've shared in this 50 some odd minute piece of content that I had no idea what I was going to say before. I mean, I had a little bit of an idea. But if something resonated with you today, you were meant to hear this. I was supposed to record it for a reason, and it's not just so I could sell more tickets to Free the Dream. But I am convinced of this. Some of you are really struggling to know what your true identity is. Some of you have no idea what superpowers lie within you. Some of you do know what your identity is. Some of you have discovered some of your superpowers, and you've used them and you've seen some significant success in your life, and it's scared you to death. It's caused you to think, maybe I should go do this instead of this. And that freaks you out. So you may be struggling with the idea of embracing your true identity. And some of you live it every now and then. But quite frankly, when it comes to living fully alive, 10% might be pushing it. 20% maybe. But what if I told you that you could live it 80% of the time, all the time, every time? That life is possible, that you were created for that life. What if I told you that what God wants for you is for you to experience joy always? Be joyful always. Do a search for that in the scriptures. Be anxious about nothing. Do not worry about anything. See if you can find a little bit of that message. That, my friends, is a life that you could be living. And it's a life that I feel that God has put in my heart to help you live through giving you the Free the Dream, the full Free the Dream message. And not just the message, but a community of people who are absolutely fully committed to living fully alive. Not every single second that they live. I mean, we don't have perfect lives. We all have a journey, right? But what if I told you that you could live this a majority of your life? You could live fully alive, that it could be a future of hope and a future where you prosper, where you could get paid 3, 5, 10, 12 times the amount of money that you're being paid today, that you could actually live a life that's not paycheck to paycheck. You could live a life that is absolutely debt-free. You could live a life where you're not only meeting the needs of your own day-to-day needs, you could meet the needs of your family, you could meet the wants of your family, you could go and you could meet the needs of family around the world, extended family. You could buy houses for your dad in Brooklyn like Colin Yearwood's going to do. Yeah, I need to get editing on that video. Oh, that's going to be so good. Guys, come to Free the Dream Conference. It's not just the message. It's not just the speakers on the stage. There is an experience there. There's an environment there. There's going to be something that happens in Franklin, Tennessee, September 13th through the 15th that you will never be able to experience anything just like that, because it's not even, and I can tell you there was an experience at 2018 Free the Dream that experience will never be duplicated. It was unique, and it was meant for the 87 people that were there last year. And this year, I'm convinced that it's meant for the unique experience that's going to happen in Franklin, Tennessee, September 13th through the 15th. That is a unique experience that is only going to happen once in a lifetime, and it's only going to happen for approximately 300, maybe up to 500 people. That's my vision. That's what I'm seeing in my mind. And it will never be duplicated ever again. And I believe that if you're hearing my voice, if you're watching this and you can't stop, you should have stopped. What? How long is Cliff going to go on with this Facebook Live? If you're still tracking, I'm telling you, I think you need to come to Free the Dream. FreeTheDreamConference.com. Buy your ticket today. Buy your ticket today. And if you feel that I'm not just, if you feel like I'm just a marketing fluff person and stuff like that, Cliff's just using power of persuasion and manipulation to get me to buy it. Unfriend me on Facebook. Unfollow me on all social media. Unsubscribe from all of my content. Because if that's who I am, don't let me influence another minute of your life, because nobody needs charlatans in their life like that. I'm genuinely only trying to speak right now. I'm only trying to reach the about 300 people who haven't yet bought a ticket yet that are supposed to be there this year. And I believe that if you're still tracking with me, not those of you who are just popping in because you just saw that I was live on, I'm talking to those of you who hit play from the beginning and are watching here to the end or listening in audio form. I believe that you're supposed to be at Free the Dream Conference 2019. And I want to see you there. And if there's any obstacle that stands in your way, email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. Let me know what it is. I'll see you in Franklin, Tennessee. All right. Until next time, my friends, I encourage you to discover, embrace, and live fully alive into your true identity. Just be yourself, your full self. Be all of you. Don't hold anything back from the world. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come fully alive. Because what the world truly needs is you fully alive. Until next time, my friends, take every area of your life to the next level.
Mindset Answer Man.